America has allowed gangs to enter our country.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now.
The city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke, it's going to go up in flame.
Gangs in Chicago are angry over the influx of migrants and criminals in their city. They say money that should be going to the African American community on the South Side is instead going to what they call non-citizens, and warn that turf wars between Chicago's gangs and groups like Venezuela's Tren de Aragua could see Chicago, quote, go up in flames. Photographer Matt McDermott and I traveled to Chicago's South Side to see what was happening for ourselves after we heard about a police report last month that the Tren de Aragua gang had taken over an office building there. We spoke to a number of young, hardcore gang members, as well as gang elders who have retired from the life, and just regular citizens who are very much part of the community. And they're all furious at the estimated $500 million that's reportedly been funneled toward new migrants in Chicago since 2022. And they aren't happy either about what they say are Venezuelan criminal gangs that are leaving the shelters and spilling out into the South Side, into abandoned buildings. I spoke to Tyrone Muhammad of Ex-Cons for Trump, who runs a street patrol and violence prevention program. He's gone straight since his days as an enforcer for the Gangster Disciples. And he said the situation is very tense on the South Side as turf battles between the local gangs and Venezuelan migrants heat up.
It is impossible to release gang members and criminals into our country through the borders and broken walls, and infiltrate them in our community that's already impoverished, that's already broken, that's already disinvested. And when the black gangs, the leadership in the black gangs in Chicago get fed up with the illegalities and the criminal activity of these migrants or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke, it's going to go up in flame, and there's going to be nothing that the National Guard or our government can do about it when the bloodshed hit the streets, blacks against migrants.
Zach Massey did time in state prison with Tyrone Muhammad, although he's only 27. He's a leader on the streets and said he's disgusted by the money going to Venezuelan migrants at the expense, he says, of the African American community.
I finally actually talked to him on the translator app, and he told me all the things that he got going on, how they help him get a car, apartment, clothes, link. So it's just I just be looking at it like they ain't got no social security, where they come from. He probably not even here legally.
They get right here, they get quick housing, quick funding, home, food, they get cars with no license, they can't even read English and stuff like that. So they get all these perks when they get here, and we still get started. So what we gonna do about it? Are y'all gonna listen to our cries?
Corey Rogers was a Blackstone gang member for years. He drove us around the South Side and showed us areas where he said Tren de Aragua and other criminal gangs are setting up shop, and what he called showing the flag, which means brandishing their weapons in front of a housing project.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now in this area. Right now, you don't see them because they come out at night. They said they took this courtway over probably about last week. He said it was 100 Venezuelans standing out in the front right here.
Terry, is it an abandoned building? How do they just take it over?
They just, when you take over something, you just stand outside and it's called showing the flag.
What kind of guns do they have?
Semi-automatics, anything you name, you're gonna see it on the street. These boys got so many big guns that if they're 150 pounds, the gun is bigger than them. I swear.
But they know how to handle it, right? They know what. Tell me about the fact that they're criminals, right? This is a criminal element. These aren't just a bunch of Venezuelans that walked over the border and used to be gardeners back home, right?
Right. They come from the gangland. They come from rougher gangs than us.
One gang member, who only gave his name as David on a particularly dangerous drug dealing corner on the South Side, did not hold back when he talked about the influx of criminal gangs from other countries into Chicago.
The real issue is that America has allowed gangs to enter our country. Gangs that they would consider ex-terrorist groups that are formed here. We are terrorist groups and we're in the gang. They let terrorists in our country.
The Reverend Corey Brooks also said to me he's disgusted with Democratic policies and said that Black Lives Matter, for example, has never reached out to help him or anyone else trying to improve conditions on the South Side.
Chicago is a blue city, and Illinois is a blue state. There's no doubt about it that the majority of our neighborhood, they're going to continue to vote Democrat until they wake up. The good news is that there are a lot of people who are responding and waking up and saying, listen, we're not going to take this, we're not going to stand for this, we're going to vote differently. And they're now accepting some of the values that I hold dear and some of the values that the conservative Republican Party holds so dear. And so for a lot of people, it's not about the person, it's about the policies that we're fed up with. And as a result, I think this is going to be the largest amount of people who have voted for a Republican president in Chicago that we've seen.
I also spoke to one Venezuelan man who was so scared of being identified that he put a hoodie on and refused to face the camera. He told me in Spanish that he had to flee the building where he was being housed because a Venezuelan criminal gang took it over. He said if they knew he was talking, they'd end his family's life back in Venezuela with one bullet. You know, what struck me the most about our week in Chicago was how intelligent and self-aware these gang members and ex-gang members are about their community. You understand when you talk to them that joining a gang and making big money selling drugs is often too tempting to resist when faced with the lack of other real opportunities to make money. And for a place known mostly in news stories for being bloody and violent at night, the area is like a village during the daytime. Everyone knows each other, and believe it or not, there's a friendly vibe. But we spoke to a lot of people, and their patience is being stretched thin. I would not be surprised to see the gangs here taking action once the Venezuelans try to get a real foothold here.
Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like
Billionaires are paying less in tax.
Salakia. Bear with me for a second. This thing is just acting real slow. Bear with me for a second.
Top 5 reasons you should switch to a TurboTax expert.
Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, HaKadosh. I'd like to give double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of the Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Bayath, the Dawadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad, I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. Alright, so this video that we just watched here is Chicago gangbangers rage against newly arrived Venezuelan migrants as Tren de Aragua moves in. So basically, this is Jake versus Jake, okay? And ultimately, this is part of the curses that we're under, because I'm going to get the script here. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. And ultimately, this is what Edom wants. He wants our people to continue to further destroy each other. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54. And it says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother. I'm going to stop right there. You know, Venezuelans, they're from the tribe of Asher. And of course, you have the so-called Negroes, the Southern Kingdom, so, basically it's the Southern Kingdom versus Northern Kingdom. And, the thing is, we're of the same people, but we've always been at each other's throats, been at war with each other. ever since, Solomon passed. And I'm gonna get that here in a second, but yeah, man, this is part of Edom's agenda for that excuse me, for his so-called migrant crisis. You can get this in Isaiah 19:2, and this is speaking about the modern day Egypt, not the past. And it says here, Isaiah chapter 19, verse Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2, and it says, "And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor. City against city, and kingdom against kingdom." Okay, and the modern day Egyptians are the Edomites, the so-called white people. Okay? So, this is all leading to a civil war. And, the northern kingdom, against the southern kingdom, like I said, after Solomon had passed, and it was left to the rule of his son Rehoboam. But the northern kingdom was complaining because under the rule of Solomon, the northern kingdom was being, burdened with heavy labor and taxes. So they refused to serve under the line of David. They rebelled. But before I get more into that story, let's see. This is going to be the book of Mark. Chapter 3, verse 24. And it says, "And if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. And if a house is be divided against itself, how that house cannot stand." Okay? Verse 26. "And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but hath an end." So, not only is there going to be a civil war in America, Israel within itself is about to go through a civil war in the time of Jacob's trouble. Not just all these other people, the Edomites and all these other nations, but Jacob too. So, and that's always been a thing, as the saying goes, divided we, what is it saying? Divided we fall, united we stand. Something like that. But that's okay because Yahweh Shema Shai is gonna, rouse up the tribes. And they're gonna realize, that we all have a common enemy here, and that we shouldn't be fighting each other. We should be focused on who's been, behind the scenes. That's why the scriptures say, the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, and it says, "Lest Satan should get advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." Okay? So, we're not letting this devil, try to pull the wool over our eyes, because we know his game plan, we know what he's up to. Okay? Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua gave us the eye salve. He gave us the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to know what's going on and what's about to happen. And he's given us that true spiritual eyesight to see who our enemy really is. Okay? But 2/3 of our people are lost, and they're not going to see it until it's too late. They still put their faith and trust in this system. And that's the problem with Jake, man. He's not meant to put our faith and trust in someone. We're supposed to put our faith and trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. He's the only one that, he's the one that controls everything. He's the only one that can get us out of this mess. This is gonna be okay, let's see here. Excuse me, bear with me here. Here we are. Isaiah. It's going to be chapter Salakia. Isaiah Salakia. Okay, this is Isaiah chapter 1, verse 4. It says, "Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward." And this is talking about Israel, man. How our nation has become so twisted and ass backwards. They don't know the right way. That's why it says here in verse 3. Going up to verse 3, it says, "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doeth not know, my people doeth not consider." Because they're all caught up into the ways of this world, man. Caught up into politics, elections, who's going to be running for president. These people can't save us. The ways of this society cannot save us, man. All they can do is just lead us astray, man. That's why it says, in the book of Proverbs, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And right now, the wicked are in power. And things are not getting any better. They're just getting worse. And worse and worse. Okay, now I'm going to get into a story here of 1 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 11. And it says, "Wherefore," so 1 Kings 11, chapter 11, verse 11 says, "Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, For as much as this one is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee." Okay, rend means to take away, "and will give it to thy servant." And who was King Solomon's servant? His name was Jeroboam, who became the first king over the northern kingdom of Israel at that time. Verse 12. "Notwithstanding in the days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son Solomon." Verse 13. "Howbeit I will not rend away all the kingdom, but I will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen." Verse 14. "And the Lord stirred up," okay, that's right there. So that one tribe was the tribe of Judah, because that's the head tribe of the nation of Israel, and that's also the tribe that the Lord Yahushai came from. All right. dropping down to verse 29. Verse 29. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 29. And it came to pass at the time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem that the prophet Ahiah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself in it with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. Hold on a second. Wait, hold on. Yep, okay, sorry, continuing verse 3. And Ahiah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. Excuse me. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Israel, behold, I will rent the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. But he shall have 1 tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes, and my judgments, as did David his father. Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all thy days of his life, for David my servant's sake, whom I chose, because he kept my commandments and my statutes. Verse 35. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. And I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all that thy soul desireth, and shall be king over Israel. And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and wilt walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with thee and build thee a sure house, as I built for David. And I will give Israel unto thee, and I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. Okay, this was being promised unto Jeroboam, and the 10 tribes, the northern kingdom, and they took a little bit of the southern kingdom went with him too. Okay, let's see. Verse 40. Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt, unto Shishak king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. Okay. In verse 41, and the rest of the acts of Solomon and all that he did and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the acts of Solomon? And the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years. Verse 43, and Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. Okay, let's get as to why, why the kingdom was taken out of Solomon's hand. Going back to the beginning of chapter 11, verse 1, it says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go in to them, neither shall they come unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. Okay? So, when it comes to dealing with heathen women, okay, it doesn't matter what women they are, Israelite women or heathen women, the woman is supposed to follow the man. But Solomon, let these women sweet talk him into following their ways, the ways of their people. Verse 3, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart. Verse 4, for it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his power, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Amorites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord as David his father. Okay, so now we understand this is why the Lord rent the kingdom from Solomon. And since since Solomon had passed, and if you go into chapter 12, Rehoboam took over. But like I said, the northern kingdom was, begging Rehoboam to, ease the burden of the harsh labor and the taxes, but he wouldn't, and that's when the northern kingdom rebelled. And this is when I'm going to go into the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 47, verse 21. And so the kingdom was divided. And out of Ephraim ruled a rebellious kingdom. Verse 22. But the Lord will never leave off his mercy, neither shall any of his works perish. Neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect, and the seed of him that loveth him. He will not take away, wherefore he gave a remnant unto Jacob, and out of him a root unto David. Verse 23, thus rested Solomon with his fathers, and of his seed he left behind him Rehoboam, even the foolishness of the people, and one that had no understanding, who turned away the people through his counsel. There was also Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin, and showed Ephraim the way of sin. 24, and their sins were multiplied exceedingly, that they were driven out of the land, for they sought out all wickedness, until the vengeance came upon them. So, since because of Solomon not following the ways of Yahweh, the king, he was stripped that power and rulership from the kingdom, and it was given over to his servant Jeroboam, and then he left that one tribe, which was the tribe of Judah, to his son, right, Rehoboam. But even he, excuse me. But Rehoboam did evil in the sight of the Lord. Jeroboam did evil in the sight of the Lord. He led the northern kingdom astray. Okay, and they've been following after other gods. They've been at odds with each other. You can read about how the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom were at each other's, were at odds with each other in chapters 12 through 16, I believe, in 1 Kings. Okay, where they, and just like today, how, we're just how I read in Deuteronomy 28 and 54, thine eye shall be evil toward thy brother. That goes not just for the men, but for the women too. We're of the same people, but we hate each other. We're divided. And that's the problem here. That's the problem that we face. Okay? And this is going to be before I close out. This is Proverbs chapter 25. No, sorry, Proverbs. Proverbs 5. Proverbs chapter 5, verse 3, and it says, for the lips of a strange woman Proverbs 5:3. For the lips of a strange woman drop as in honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. So, strange women, of course, like I said, this can go to these heathen women, but it can also go to philosophies. Because, like I said, in what I just read in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, those concubines, which were heathen women, turned Solomon's heart away from the Lord. And that's what, led him astray, and that, caused him to go off and stir up Yahweh's anger. Because, their ways sounded so smooth and sweet, and they sounded so good. In verse 4, it says, but her end is bitter and as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. So basically, her end is as death. Okay? It's going to cause you to fall. It's going to cause you to fail. Verse 5, her feet go down to death, and her steps take hold on hell. So, her ways, man, lead to the grave. Okay? Verse 6, lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Verse 7, hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Verse 8, remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house. Okay? So, keep this truth, keep this doctrine, and commit yourself unto it. And, stay away from the worldly philosophies that sound so sweet as honeycomb. Because if it sounds good, or if it sounds good, feels good, or whatnot, it's most likely wrong. But if it's the truth here that's coming from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the doctrine of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, it's supposed to be sharp as a two-edged sword. Yeah, it brings you comfort, but at the same time, there are scriptures in here that can cut you. But they're not cutting you to hurt you, they're cutting you to correct you. Because this word is supposed to train you up in the way that you're supposed to go. Okay, then that way to go is the way of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay, so let's get this is going to be Wisdom of Solomon. So this is Wisdom of Solomon. It's going to be chapter 1, starting at the top. And it says, love righteousness. Ye that be judges of the earth, think of the Lord with a good heart, and in simplicity of heart seek him. Verse 2, for he will be found of them that tempt him not, and showeth himself unto such as do not distrust him. So, the Lord will only reveal himself to those that put their faith and trust in him, and that seek him daily, which are the meek and the lowly, the humble, those that are willing to repent and turn back. Verse 3, for froward thoughts, froward meaning perverse or twisted, for froward thoughts separate from the Most High, and his power, when it is tried, reproveth the unwise. Verse 4, for into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject to sin. Okay, so roughly paraphrasing, to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life, right? So wisdom will not enter into a malicious soul, those that are carnally minded, that mind the wants and needs of the flesh. Verse 5, for the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit, and remove from all thought, and remove from thoughts that are without understanding, and will not abide when unrighteousness cometh in. Okay? So, all in all, once again, King Solomon went off, and because of that, you know, let's go to Ecclesiastes. There we go. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 3. It says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. So, you know, King Solomon in those days became unwise because, you know, he fell off, he was led astray. And that's, you know, that's why when it comes to dealing with these women, man, you gotta be careful. As the scriptures say, you know, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner be upon, let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. So, you gotta, you gotta be careful, man. Especially when you're put in a position of authority. Okay? That's why I'm gonna go back up here to where it says, this is the same book, Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, starting at the top, verse 1. It says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. For a time, yes, Solomon was doing great. Everything was good. You know, the kingdom of Israel was prospering at that time, but you know, he, you know, fell in love with all these women. Verse 2: as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. In what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So you know, if you're ruling over a nation or a city, you know, you're the one that's setting the example for others to follow. So those that are under you, they follow your lead. They set the standard by which you yourself present. So, but aside from all that, the thing is that we're in that time right now where, you know, Israel is divided. Now more so than ever. And this is Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 30. Starting at verse 7. It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay? You know, because we all know that civil war is prophetic, and it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. In verse 8 it says, for it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck. And whose yoke? He's going to break the hold of Esau, Edom off of us. And will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. And those strangers is talking about the Israelites. Shall no more serve themselves of him. Serve themselves of who? Esau, Edom. As well as these other nations. Okay, the Lord is going to break that yoke, that chain. So, you know, Jacob's trouble is right around. I would say that we're just in the beginning stages of it. It hasn't really it's only going to escalate with time. Okay, and whatever happens with this election, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but you know, Lord willing, that the sooner things escalate, the faster we can all get out of here. All right. Once again, this is Chicago gangbangers rage against newly arrived Venezuelan migrants as the Tren de Aragua moves in. This video is 2 weeks old, but it was on my spirit to do it. But yeah, man, it's gonna be Jake versus Jake out here on a really high and violent level. But you know, that's okay, because you know, the Lord He's going to come back. He's going to do this. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 50, verse 21. In fact, let me see. Hold on. Yeah, this is here we go. Psalms 50 and 21. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence, though thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. Verse 22. Now consider this, ye that forget the Most High, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Verse 23. Whoso offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright, I will show the salvation of the Most High. So Yahweh is going to send his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, to set order back in the world. Okay, starting with his nation. Okay. And the scriptures say that, judgment must first begin at the house of the Most High. And if it first begin at us, what do you think's going to happen to, these other nations after we're done getting that first, that front row seat of ass whoopings? Because we're the Lord's people, we're his nation, and we represent him. We are held to a specific standard, and we haven't been holding that standard. And that's why that we're in the predicament that we're in. So, yeah. When Yahweh Shai comes back, it's not going to be good. I mean, it's going to be good for the elect, but for the rest, the 2/3, it's going to be hell. Alright? So, just, stay on point. Do the best you can not to fall, make mistakes, because we're in that time where, the Lord is visiting the earth right now. So, we don't want to get caught up on the receiving end of judgment. And I'm speaking to myself first and foremost. And with that, I hope that this lesson was edifying to the body and to the sincere listeners and believers. And with that, closing out, I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raka'at, Nagash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone. Give peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Ba'ath, the Badath, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad. I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. Alright, see you in the next lesson, Lord willing. Kwam Yasharallah, Wa Abad Shalom, Barakatam.